Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 11 of the anime series Shouwa Genroku Rakugo Shinjuu. And this was a really beautiful, heartwarming kind of episode. Gotta be my favorite in the series thus far, not only because of its heartwarminess and hominess, if you will, but I mean, artistically, it was just very beautiful. The backdrops of this entire episode, it's another episode in this series that feels almost like its own self-encased little mini movie. The production value in the backgrounds, at least to my estimation on a mobile device, were just gorgeous. The color palettes, the very sort of natural environments, the fauna, the bright greens, and to match Konatsu, who, as we pick up with this episode, leading off from where we left off in the previous, we see that Kikuhiko has sidled up with Konatsu, trying to find her mommy and daddy, and he's taken to trying to bribe her with lunch, and she's trying to sneak off. She's very rueful against him, and you know, calling him old man. And then she finds out he's a Rakugo performer, and there's a whole 180-degree turn in her demeanor. She's suddenly very respectful, very pleading. Please tell me more, sir. You know, that kind of thing. And she's very much invested in who he is all of a sudden with that in mind. But when we first see her bright red hair and the green sort of kimono tunic or whatever it is that she's wearing is very much matched by, again, the leaves, the greens, the mountainside, the cherry blossoms. So very vibrant and naturalistic. And I loved the look from beginning to end of this episode. And that was only the first sort of breadcrumbs to the overall pate of this beautiful episode where we saw the reconnection of Kikuhiko and Sugoroku. I mean, he's there to try to find both Sugoroku and Miyokichi, and it's very interesting to learn how scathing Konatsu has become to her own mother, because her mother, in her estimation, is a deadbeat mom. She left me and Dad. She left Dad, who is the world around which I rotate. He is my everything, and you know, is the Rakugo, is the best thing that has ever been invented. And you know, she loves her father. She's doting on her father, even to the point of, as a child, going and performing Rakugo to try to make them money so Daddy can survive. And the place is a shambles when Kikuhiko first shows up. And I almost feel like reverting back to, you know, the names Bon and Shin, because that's how they first acknowledge each other. And it's like the truest form of both of these guys, both of these brothers, when they welcome each other back together. Of course, not without Kikuhiko smacking Sugoroku across his face. But I love that he jumps on him leapfrog style. And they're hugging and holding each other. He's so glad to see him. He's like, you haven't changed a bit. And just that whole idea that, you know, he wants to try to get Sugoroku to get back into Rakugo. He thinks, even now, that he is the more befitting Yakumo, and he should take that name, and he's gonna stay, and he is gonna do anything. He's gonna do whatever it takes. Use all of his money, need, you know, little Konatsu's help to clean the place up. Sugoroku is expected to, you know, take part in this as well, not to just be lazy in the back of the cabin and everything. But I mean, it's so heartwarming and beautiful to see these brothers come back together, and they're taking care of Konatsu. And you know, I love the bond that is growing here between Kikuhiko and Konatsu, where he's like cutting her hair, and they're talking about, you know, he would be upset. His reasonings as to why he would be upset to see women, you know, performing the Rakugo would kind of be unsettling to the whole environment in his estimation. And it's not in any sort of a disrespectful way. It's just he's perched this all up on a pedestal, like, you know, the beautiful women who come in with their fragrances of perfume and really lighten the path of the performer and make them feel appreciated and all this kind of stuff. He's really kind of romanticized those aspects, and I really don't know if he's just blowing smoke up Konatsu's butt, or if this is how he well and truly feels. But she turns the tables on him, because once her hair is cut, am I pretty? And he's like, well, of course. Well, now you got to do Rakugo for me, because I'm a pretty lady, and I want you know, and it was just pitch perfect that. And then he starts performing, she asks him to do Nozarashi, and this is something she loves hearing her dad do and all this stuff. And again, more revelations to her mother being very scathing against that. And, you're not a real genuine worker if you do this performance art kind of thing. And because she is a geisha, perhaps, whoring herself out, for lack of a better term, to make ends meet for her own sort of well-being, not really looking upon Sugoroku as anything, to be in love with or to be with in any way, shape, or form. She's very, very much well and truly left him behind. But I loved the joy and the happiness in Konatsu when she's watching this performance, which gets that much better when, of course, Sugoroku comes to and he gets involved because, Kiku's screwing up some of the songs or whatever. He doesn't remember everything. And you see little Konatsu getting like, come on. And then they're both performing and she is laughing. Her laughter is infectious. She's loving every minute. She's feeling every emotion. She's feeling the fear of the ghostly bones and all this stuff, laughing hysterically when the fisherman or whatever it is gets the hook in his cheek. All of this stuff. I love the noises Kiku's, voice actor was performing during the tickling session. That had me dying. Had to keep replaying that for a few minutes. And it was just, again, beautiful. There's that great shot of them kind of walking Konatsu home, and it's like daddy and daddy in a way, but in a different kind of dynamic. They are a family, and it really feels resonating. And I had this fleeting thought like, oh man, because of course we leave off with Kiku asking once again, Sugoroku, please reconsider, come back to Rakugo, take on the name Yakumo, and something's going to stand in its way. And, there is that whole thing where I guess the guy, the latest guy Miyokichi is with brings to her attention there's going to be a Rakugo performance, and on the billing, there is Kikuhiko's, Sugoroku and all this kind of stuff. And she says, as tears fall, basically, it took you this long, Kiku, to come back to me? And it was like, I want to smack the bitch because you don't know how good of a guy you had in Sugoroku, and you're still pining for Kiku. You're going out there and you're pimping yourself out. I understand the hard times, the harsh reality of this world is very much parallel to our own real legitimate world. But it's heartbreaking to see the divide that was created between this trio of characters, and to see where the bonds remain strengthened, to see where they've been tested, where they may have snapped. And there's that fleeting glimpse of images in the PV where it's hard to make any sense of what exactly that's all going to amount to. I can only assume there's going to be a confrontation between this main trio once again. I can only assume a falling out of sorts is going to happen. And I don't know exactly where that other leg is going to drop, because once again, it's like having such a beautiful, poignant, heartfelt episode as this just strengthens that, recollection back that Sugoroku, something happened to him and he was taken out of the picture. And perhaps, there is one fleeting glimpse of what looks like a woman's hand. Maybe Miyokichi commits suicide. I don't know. But I mean, it definitely stunned me to silence to suddenly recollect the tragedy yet to happen. And especially, again, as I say, after an episode like this, which just kept me grinning the whole way through, kept me feeling, this level of affirmation and beauty of the awe and the splendor. And, it's like a fantasy, a fable kind of beauty that, it's going to be a shame to see the cold, hard reality hit home once again in its aftermath, in its wake. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below if you've seen episode 11 of Shouwa Genroku Rakugo Shinjuu, if you enjoyed it as much as I did, if you found it as resoundingly heartwarming and in parts hysterical as I did. Favorite episode probably of this series all told. I'd be very surprised if either of the final episodes, I think there's 2, could match this in that level of poignancy and hilarity and heartwarmingness and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, love it or hate it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of it and what your predictions are for the future. If you happen to be familiar with the source material, which I am not, please post no spoilers. But, give me some ideas as to whether I may be right with my speculations. That heartbreak is yet to come and such like that. So yeah, otherwise that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.